Welcome back to the channel. My name is Brad and Supercoach Pro. Today's video, we're doing the round 19 Supercoach review. Now we have 4 weeks left to go. We're going to break back into that 1000. I can tell you why. We did this score 2,370 without Callum Mills, without T.Greene, and without one more Premo that I'm going to explain. So I did a few last minute changes because of Penderbury was injured. So we'll go through the side, have a look what I've done. We lost a little bit of ranking, but I'm pretty confident this last month we should move up just by doing the trade I did just before the Richmond and Cats game. We'll discuss that shortly. So let's jump straight into it, discuss the side, see how we fared. Not a bad week. Won my head-to-heads, most of them. So thanks to Colonel. So let's start from the back line. Laird again, solid, 178 points. Really didn't see that coming this week against Adelaide, or else I would have put the VC or C on him. He had 36 disposals, I believe, and 2 goals. I just can't believe he's at 624,000. The man, Tommy Stewart, underrated, undervalued in how he scores. He had 20 kicks as opposed to Ridley's 15, and they scored just about the same. So I get that he does a lot of sideways chipping, and they're not as contested as a Ridley in sense of pack marks. But I do understand he's that third tall that intercepts. So 118, you'll take that from Stewart, really solid again, and Ridley 115, really solid. So the back line looked all right, even without Mills there. Didn't have any emergencies because I'm waiting for Jones to return from that hammy, and Mills comes back in next week. So we'll sort that out later. 89 from Jaden Short. Turned it over a couple times. Look, he's pretty solid. He's opposed to that sort of Stephen May pick, so I don't hate that. I think May's got about 60-something this week, so... Short 26 disposals, 16 kicks, 8 marks. Definitely was underscored. I think all the points were taken by Hawkins, Guthrie, and Dangerfield this week, so it wasn't a lot of points to go around, especially Dangerfield about 166. Whitfield again, just an absolute goat for anyone that held him. I'm lucky I did because I actually almost traded him out last week for Jake Lloyd just about a minute before the bounce, but it didn't go through. So lucky it didn't because he rewarded me by coming out with a 146 after missing that week last week against a poor score and then getting concussed the week before on 30 points. So hoping with that rest, he looked really fresh and he, smashed out the next 4 weeks and could get me up in some percentages. I think he's not in a lot of teams, so I don't think people have trades to actually trade this bloke in. So it could be a real pod. I'll just have a quick look at what his ownership is. It's only around 15%, so he could get me home in that top 1K again, which I think we will. Bring in Callum Mills, obviously, this week. Bianco did his job for a rookie. I'll take 62 points from Bianco, considering he smashed out 30s and 40s before. So just glad I got bench cover. Steele, a little bit concerning. I didn't get to see this match with St Kilda West Coast. It didn't really interest me. I know that sounds really poor. I watched most games, but that was a game I just wasn't interested in. He had 12 tackles, 18 disposals, and apparently got absolutely kissed for his score. Look, I'll take that. Probably not as a captain score, but there could have been worse options like Walsh. If I had a VC, Grundy and went C for Walsh. I know some people did that. Walsh was tagged by Simpkin, if you don't already know. Now, I've got an interesting midfield to discuss in a second, and I'll sort of go through that. McRae 146, the absolute goat. Look, I should have really put him as a C, but I just thought with Bonds in the team that he wasn't getting, high scores because, either one of them goes large or they sort of steal points off each other a lot. So I didn't think he'd go this big. He was definitely captain worthy, and the one time I don't really VC or see him, he goes large again. So he was pretty quiet, and just to sort of go over why I didn't pick him as AC, if you look at the last few matches, he only went 124 and 116, so I didn't have a lot of confidence this week to pick him. And, the tap-out sort of advantage for Gawn, I thought that would be a lot more solid. Oliver looks to be the wet ball contested sort of player. He's not the quickest player, so that contested wet sort of style of game, we should always be VCing him for those games. He's back in form the last 2 weeks. He's definitely turned it on. Plays Gold Coast this weekend, so that could be a sneaky VC on him. Look, his last 2 weeks are back to where his best is. So that's really solid from him. Glad he's sort of turned it around. Merritt got scaled up. I thought he was on 60 something or 67. So 71, I'll actually take that. Considering have Kelly on the bench for a second, I'll explain what I did. So yeah, look, that's a poor score from Merritt's. I thought he'd been pretty good the last couple of weeks, but I probably won't start him next year. I know his counterpart, Nolan Parrish, scored about 50 this week and got tagged by Lockie Ash, I believe. Brayshaw, the absolute goats. Glad I bought him in about round 7 or 8 when he was really cheap. And look, he's been fairly solid. I know a lot of people got rid of him after the buys. So what was that, round 14? But since then, he's gone 110, 135, a couple 90s and 109. So Fife being out there, dislocated his shoulder. He won't come back for the rest of the season. I sort of don't understand why they bring players back from dislocation of shoulders. Like, I've done a shoulder, and I was out for 4 rounds a few years ago. I missed rounds 2 to 6. So means Brayshaw and Shearer is what I'm trying to say. Will get a lot of midfield rotation, so they should come home really strong and probably average about 110 from here on out. Brayshaw will, you'd think. Now, this was my super lucky pick. 3 minutes before the bounce, I actually had a bad feeling that Kelly would, if we go back to the round 19, I thought he was going to be laid out with that ankle. I didn't even think he'd actually play this game at all. I thought they were just sort of, Leon Cameron was messing with Essendon here to sort of, move the magnets, and I thought he was going to be laid out, and I'm talking like 10 minutes before the bounce. So what I did was I went Dusty to Guthrie, put him in here, and I can tell you why I've accidentally put McRae here, not by choice. So my Dusty swap was for Guthrie. I knew he'd probably score really well against the Tigers. We don't have a lot of midfielders there. And we're just sort of stuffed without those main 6 or 7 players going into, the last 5 rounds. So I thought he'd go pretty decent, and he rewarded me with 120 bringing him in this week. So really smart move by me. 483, so it's at his seasonal lowest. This guy was killing at the start of the season. His last 4 matches against North, Giants, St Kilda and Melbourne. So really like this pick. His shoulder and the AC joint. Normally an AC joint sprain is about 6 weeks recovery. He's had 8 since he's done it. So I figure, I'm not a doctor, but I know that shoulder should be right. And I'm only banking him on another 4 weeks to get through the season. So yeah, really solid from him. Bramble 83, you'll see why I put him on in a second. I'll explain my move. So, Josh Kelly or Merritt was the final game. I had Dusty here. I didn't want to have to use Kelly was in this position. And I was like, oh no, what happens if Kelly's laid out? Then I'm going to cop a 26 from Penderbury, who has a hairline fracture in his leg, which is not a broken leg. They're 2 separate things also. Hairline fracture is completely different to breaking his leg, but that's a 6 to 8 week injury, so he's obviously not playing the rest of the season. So yeah, I thought Kelly would be laid out, so I bought in Guthrie for Dusty, put Guthrie on field, had him there, and we're going to trade out Penderbury this week for a 500k forward. Obviously, I won't put Kelly there. I don't know why I just did that. Bramble will be my cover for the rest of the season. Anyway, hopefully Newcomb is also named soon, so that'd be nice just to have a little bit of cover just in case those last 4 weeks something bad goes. Grundy, the absolute downhill skier in the last 2 weeks, back-to-back 80 scores. I don't even want to talk about it. Let's not even go there. 103 from Hickey. He got towed up by Sean Darcy in the first quarter and Meek, and really bounced back. So I'm really happy about this selection. I didn't pay overs for Gawn. Gawn's not rewarding owners at the moment. And it's probably the season where you didn't have to start Gawn, because I've been in top 1k for most of the season, out for the last 2 weeks, but it's not because of Gawn. It's just because of unlucky COVID outs and injuries. To my side, like most sides have anyway, so it is what it is. Aaron Hall and Zeeble, look, these are just a package too, really. Hall just racks it up. They just kick to each other. They play kick to kick out there. They must have each other in their fantasy sides, to be honest. He's an excellent pick. Pretty sure if you don't already have him, you got 554k spare, he'd be the one. He's such a pod for a forward line player anyway. 17% of sides. Look, really solid. I'm glad I bought him in for about 400k. I think it was 415 I bought him in for. So, yeah, I love that pick. And I'd considering starting him next season as a defender. Zeeble, everyone's got him, so no point really going through his statistics. Hawkins booted 4 or 5 goals. Didn't see any of it in the last quarter, so he could have had a 150 game had it been at Geelong's end more in that fourth term. Last 2 weeks been really solid. Probably a good price too if you held on to Dusty for an extra week to see some forwards. I mean, he's gone back-to-back tons now. Had that really bad patch when I bought him in. I bought him in at 58 and 60, so didn't really recommend him. But yeah, look, he's going to have a good fixture coming up. Norton, I think, got underscaled in my opinion. Look, he's not a bad steal if you wanted to go CCG up to Norton. He kicked a couple goals. I can't remember exactly how many, but 75, I'll take that considering he scored 31 last week off 9 disposals. So, Waitman, 50. You'll take that as a Greene replacement. Obviously, I have Greene back in the side this week, so that's brilliant. Now, McRae, I stuffed up this. I was mucking around with Dusty, and Dusty was in here, and McRae was on the field, and I looked at the scores and realised that the game had already started. And yeah, McRae was stuck on my field, but it didn't really matter because everyone brought in Bolton. So, look, my depth is not going to be too bad. I'll just go through my trades, what I'm thinking this week anyway. So, I've already made the call to go Guthrie as that midfielder to replace Penderbury, is what the trade was. McRae then moves to here, so I've got 2 mid covers for the rest of the season, being only 4 weeks to go. Bianco's my cover there. Hopefully Jones will be covered shortly. Reeves is playing when we need him to play as an emergency in case one of these guys gets rested. And now we have 524,000 to pick a player. Now, I'm not too sure who I'm going to go for because the last video I said Bolton, and as a Tigers supporter, I did not see this coming. Bolton played midfield, but then got towed up, so they moved him down forward. Richmond wanted the spark. He seemed to be the one that they wanted to use up forward. Matty Parker got a lot of CBAs, which was really interesting. I think Richmond need to leave Bolton in there for the rest of the season just to get his confidence up. Don't just drag him just because he's had one bad half. So I don't know what Dimmer was doing there, but look, we won't be making finals, so I think they've just got to experience these young kids, which they are, and just play them in positions that they're used to, and they're dominating, and not just flick them across because they're having 1 or 2 bad quarters in that position. Anyway, rant over. I'm probably at this point, if I just sort by average, I'm going to go for Marshall or Charlie Dixon. The reason behind this is, look, Marshall has Carlton. He'll probably absolutely smash De or whatever his name is. And then he's got Sydney against Hickey, so that might be a bit of a tougher battle. Geelong don't really have a ruckman. They've got Stanley and whatever the other guy's name is, I've forgotten. And Freo have Sean Darcy. So he might actually have a bit of a tough run in terms of ruckman to come up against. But we know how well he scores. The foot's a concern, so he might be someone we could go. Look, he's in only 6.6% of size, which I actually thought after last 2 weeks ago was a lot higher than that. But we need my rankings to go high. So we play for broke here. Buddy's going to get suspended, you'd think, after elbow to the face, but he's pretty protected at this point, so probably want him to get to 1,000 goals. So he'll get off this week for sure because his name's Buddy. Not interested in Heaney. I'm thinking at this stage, Charlie Dixon is the man. If we look at Charlie Dixon's scores, he's probably justifying for his price. Oh, wow. He's got Giants, Adelaide, Carlton. So I think this will be the guy I go. Bulldogs, he scored 107 against this year. Carlton, he scored 99. Adelaide, he scored 100. And GWS, I don't think he's played them. So he scored 80 against them last year. He'll be playing on Phil Davis this time round. He's got a good fixture. He is a pod. I need to get into that top percentage. Trade him in. Let's have a look how the team looks. So I don't know what I just did. Click off that. And complete trades. That would be my last trade. So this is completely live because I've just seen Supercoach open about 5 minutes ago, and I jumped on straight away. I didn't see my head-to-heads or anything. So this is how I finished my side. Absolute pod down the forward line for Dixon. Hoping he goes big. Got a couple key forwards now, 3 of them to be exact. Dixon, Norton and Hawkins. So we're really banking on these boys to go massive. You need pods to get back into that top 1K. Guthrie, this is a really solid midfield now on paper. I really like it. I've got Bramble as cover. I think I've got, a really strong side for the last 4 weeks. You look at that. That back line, so solid. Midfield looks great, especially with Guthrie there now. It looks so much better. I think the unfortunate bit is I went from Chor to Duncan to Pendlebury and now to Guthrie. So Guthrie's probably injured in 3 weeks' time. So that has been my injury pick. So I've wasted 4 trades on one position in my midfield because they just keep getting injured. So no trades. I think we're fine for the rest of the season, and we should be flying back into that top sort of bracket. Considering I got 2-3-70 with 3 Premo short this week, I will take that. Considering there's 4 weeks to go, and I think I can make a real good charge. So I will be doing my video on Thursday because it looks like there's a game Friday night, so don't forget that. And yeah, we'll see you on the next video. Hopefully you guys had a really good weekend, and leave a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new, and I'll catch you on the Thursday preview. See yous.